Border wall plans are also alarming animal activists who say the wall will harm wildlife.
For more now, we turn to wildlife biologist Jeff Corwin. You're in Boston. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. So explain this to me. What kind of wildlife, first off, would be impacted by a border wall? Often we see, video along the border. It looks pretty desolate out there.
Well, that's a great question, Anne-Marie, and the impact will be huge. It will be an environmental catastrophe. Basically, what the Trump administration is proposing is to build a 1,200-mile-long, plus-long barrier that cuts through the Isthmus of Panama. For millions of years, this has been nature's corridor between North America and South America. Hundreds, if not thousands of species rely on this natural movement of landmass to move north and south or south to north. So when they construct this wall, if they're successful, it will cut through millions of acres of national park, wildlife refuges, wild landscapes, pristine estuaries. There are creatures like jaguar, the Mexican gray wolf, over 90 endangered and threatened species that will be immediately impacted by this wall.
So, I mean, there's been some type of fencing, Jeff, for some time along the border. Why would this wall make such a big difference?
Well, Vlad, that's true. We have always had barriers here and there. But to actually construct an impenetrable wall that goes from the Atlantic to the Pacific, that literally cuts through Central America, blocking off the natural pathways that animals move for migration, either to get to natural resources like food or water, or to migrate because of seasonality. For example, there are hundreds of bird species that migrate during the winter months. They head to Central and South America for refuge, where it's warmer. Animals moving for reproductive reasons. The impact will be absolutely huge, and never have we ever attempted to completely block off this natural causeway that connects life between two significant land masses on our planet.
Vlad mentioned that a significant portion of the border, there's a wall already. About 40% of the border, I think there's a wall already. Did we see an impact when that wall was put up? When those portions were put up?
We have seen impacts of walls. I've actually seen photos of wildlife that literally comes to a stopping point with either a chain link fence or a cement wall in front of them. But eventually that wildlife can skirt around it, or over time that wildlife can adapt. But in the short term, they can't adapt. These animals are hardwired. They're instinctively driven to follow these natural pathways that their species have been doing for millions of years. So when we look at the greater impact that this will have, will be incredibly profound. And when you take what this administration is doing with the construction of this wall, then you mix it with their denial, dark age view of climate change, and then how they're basically castrating the EPA through defunding and deregulation, it is as if they're waging an all-out war against wildlife and habitat, which, Vlad and Anne-Marie, these are resources not that we just aesthetically appreciate, but these are resources that we depend upon.
Yeah, Jeff, and to that point, with regards to the rollback in climate change regulations, you've said that it's a perfect extinction storm for American wildlife. What's being done to bring these concerns to Congress and the White House, and do you think anything's going to change?
Vlad, I'm not trying to be an alarmist, but I do believe it is an opportunity for a perfect extinction storm based on what this administration is doing. You look at the Mexican gray wolf, that population is less than 150 animals, and they're being impacted by all those things, a change in habitat and a potential blockage of habitat with this wall. And that's one of many millions of individual animals and hundreds of species. So we are bringing this to the forefront of this administration. I have personally reached out in an olive branch style to this administration to see how we could work together, both the conservation community and our government, and they've shown absolutely no interest. And unfortunately, with this deluge of extreme media that we're experiencing, with all these polarizing stories, these issues, these important issues like climate change, change of habitat, poor regulation and management of the resources that we depend upon, they get buried beneath all this dearth of talk. So the challenge for us, I guess, Vlad, is to take these very critical issues and keep them up in the forefront. Because if we don't wake up and recognize that this administration has a responsibility to be stewards of our natural resources, if we don't do that, our children will pay the price.
Jeff Corwin, we appreciate your time. We appreciate your passion. Thank you so much.
Thank you.